thank you for tuning in to Open Heart with Lisa, where his heart matters. I want to let you know what Open Heart with Lisa is and what Open Heart with Lisa is not. Open Heart with Lisa is not a therapy session with a psychologist or psychiatrist or even a marriage counselor. What it is a platform for men to come on and speak openly and honestly and candidly in a provocative way about matters of their heart, their love issues. I bring people on, gentlemen on, anonymously so that they can talk freely. You're never going to hear what their real name is, and I'm never going to say what state or city they actually reside. So we're going to pick up from yesterday, and this week we are talking to a gentleman by the name of, we're calling him Jerome from Washington. And Jerome is expanding on a topic that I've entitled called Married, Laid, and Lonely. Married, Laid, and Lonely. Well, what does that mean, Lisa? Well, it means that Jerome is currently married. He loves his wife, so I don't want anybody to get it twisted. He loves his wife. I also don't want anyone to think that he's getting ready to go down to the divorce court, because that's not his intention. He's just speaking because they had a little rough patch, and although he is married, he feels very lonely. He feels emotionally lonely. So I want to pick up, Jerome, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, you're there. And I want to ask you a question. So we were talking yesterday, and we talked, well, you shared about when you felt things started changing in your marriage, and you also informed all of us that your lovely wife spends a lot of time with family and friends. So today I want to talk about that. And I want this show to be called Family, Friends, or Me. And I want to ask you, where do you fit in, 1, 2, or 3, out of family, friends, or me?
Do you have any more? You have any more numbers?
Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
It could be way down the list, but it's not 1, 2, or 3.
All right. Well, let's go from 1 to 20. Where do you fit in?
Maybe 12 or 13.
Really, you feel that way?
Let me tell you, Lisa. It's one of the things where it's almost as if I don't exist sometimes. It's and don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. My wife does show care and concern for me, the way that you would show care and concern for your pet. If they ran out in front of a car, you'd be concerned. You want to make sure that they eat and they get water. But other than that, sometimes I'm not so sure.
Wait a minute. I just want to make sure I got that right, because I'm quite sure your wife doesn't feel that she shows love and concern to you the way she would a pet.
No,
that's how you
I
interpret
exaggerate. Sometimes you have to exaggerate to make a point. The point is, I'm not 1, 2, or 3. Put it that way.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I know that I could depend on her if I was to fall down a flight of stairs. I know that if I'm sick, she's going to try to make sure that I'm okay. If I was in the hospital, she'd be there. But when it comes to day-to-day things, I mean, if there's a situation where she's got something that's going on with her girlfriends, I better not even stand in the way. I get tracks up my front end and down my back. I mean, it's that kind of thing. And I understand that. That's the way it is.
Now, when you
nothing
say
else
that's
is important
the way it is,
when those things come into the fore, nothing else is important.
So when you say that, okay, so excuse me, and I'm quite sure it hasn't always been like this.
No, well, I'll reiterate. At one time, from my perspective, and I also thought from her perspective, we were best friends. I don't think that's been the case for quite a bit of time.
You don't feel you're best friends anymore?
No, not at all.
Why do you say that?
Well, we can still share certain things that remain between us, I believe. But in terms of where she turns when she wants to have a real intimate conversation about herself, I don't think that's me. That's probably her sister or one of her girlfriends, but that's not me. It used to be me. That safe
So
place
when
for
you
me.
say it used to be you, how long ago did it stop being you? 5 years ago? 10 years ago?
As I said, it was kind of insidious, and it was something that happened over a period of time where the focus between us became less and less pointed and more amorphous. And you never really know where the dividing line is. You never really realize it until you're on the other side of the wall.
Right.
And once you're on the other side of the wall, you realize it, and it's been a few years, but that's the reality now, in my estimation. And I'm not laying blame. Understand, I'm not blaming anyone. It's just the way it is, and I wish it wasn't that way. I don't know how to change that. Sometimes I think it requires someone else to decide that what's important to them is important to them. And I don't feel that that's me right now. I just don't.
Okay.
I'm not the focus.
You're not the focus. All right. And so if you, I'm just asking, let's say if you made plans with your wife tomorrow to take her to dinner,
mm-hmm.
and a friend called or a family member called and they wanted to do something with your wife, would she still go to dinner with you?
It would depend on who it is and what it's about.
Okay.
And I think that that's not unreasonable.
All right.
But if there were a situation where I had said we were going to dinner 2 weeks from now, and she forgot and she made plans with someone else, guess what would happen? I would probably acquiesce and say, okay, if that's what you want to do, because that's who I am. I'm never one that wants to stand in your way of doing what it is you want to do. Or if I needed you to, for some reason, not do something else, because I needed you for what I needed you for,
mm-hmm.
we could actually have a discussion about how that could happen, as opposed to, well, I have to get back to you, or I don't think I can make that happen because I already made plans. Because that's not the way I operate. You tell me you want to do something, hey, those plans can go out the window as far as I'm concerned, because it's important to you. And I'm not talking about, you got an airline ticket to Tahiti, and I want you to not go to Tahiti. That's not what I'm talking about. You got a breakfast appointment with your monthly club, and I ask you, well, why can't we do this one today? You go to the monthly club every month.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got my monthly meeting. I got to go to my monthly meeting. And it's not 1, but it's 10.
Oh.
And it's that kind of thing.
Okay. So have you ever spoken to your wife about your feeling lonely?
Oh, yeah, I've said that. I've said that explicitly, that, and you need to understand, I don't have a lot of friends that I am really close to. Most of them are not in the area where I live. We went to college together and we dispersed. We're all over the country. I do get to travel to see them every once in a while, or they get to travel to see me every once in a while. And when they're here, I want to spend time with them. But they're not here every week. They're not calling my phone every day. They're not a barrier to my relationship with my wife on a regular basis. And most of the friends I have here are women. There's certain boundaries that you have to draw between, you and a female friend to
mm-hmm.
make sure that it doesn't cross the boundary. You get what I'm saying? And so who I'm looking for companionship with, which is my wife, and I don't get that, because her perception is, well, these are my friends. And we do things together, and yeah, I understand that, but does it have to be all of the time? Does it have to be I wake up in the morning and the first voice I hear is one of your girlfriend's voices rather than yours? I mean, that's a regular occurrence. That is
a regular occurrence.
The phone can ring, and the phone can ring at 8:00 in the morning. I know who it is. That's how it is, and it doesn't stop ringing until 11:00 at night. I think I might have said that before.
Mm-hmm. So you saying you have a lot of female friends?
I have a few. Yeah.
Okay, so you have a few female friends, and I'm just curious, and I'm just thinking about how I would feel. So this is me. This is not your wife, just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I had a husband, and this has nothing to do with you, but I'm just talking about me, and my husband said, Lisa, I'm just very lonely. And then my husband had female friends that he felt comfortable with spending, and I don't mind, I would never mind my husband having female friends, but I just think that if he had female friends and he was saying to me that he was lonely and I was not doing anything to try to fill that void, me personally, I'd feel a little bit uncomfortable. I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. I mean, I can even go back to a particular instance with one of these individuals specifically, and this goes back years. When I say years, I mean many years ago, which is when I met this person, and we became friends. And my wife asked me, was I having an affair? And I laughed, and I told her, not even within the realm of possibility. Fast forward 15 years later, and, now they know each other very well, and she knows his boyfriend, and his boyfriend and I are friends. I mean, her boyfriend and I are friends, and, so, but that's the context that discussion is in when you talk about I have female friends. When I go out to visit with, let's call her Priscilla, I tell my wife, I'm going to see Priscilla. She asked me if I could help her with X, Y, and Z. I'll be back at such and such time. And I don't hide that aspect of my life because it's not that kind of, it's just not that kind of party for me. And my wife is trusting enough to believe that that's the case for me. She's never been one that's been overly jealous. But I understand your point that if your husband told you that he was lonely, you'd be concerned about, well, he's not spending the time with me. Who's he spending the time with? But that's not a concern because most of the time I'm home.
I don't even think, but you know what? I don't even think for me it wouldn't be who he spend his time with. I think that I would, because everybody's human. And I'm not saying that if my husband would cheat, but for me, you don't want somebody to be lonely. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Because lonely can be, if left lonely for too long, a very dangerous place. And that's for all of us.
I'm not disagreeing with that one. One iota. All I'm saying to you is that that's a personal choice that somebody has to make. That they perceive that there's something that they need to do to create a more comfortable environment. But that's a choice.
Right. Okay.
I don't make that choice for people.
Okay.
They have to make it for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So you've said to your spouse, you said to your wife that you feel lonely. Did you share with her maybe what she could do to make the relationship a little better for you?
You ever have somebody, you say something to them and they just look at you like, where's that coming from? Why are you so crazy? That kind of thing. What's wrong with you? That's the kind of look I get. Like I'm a person from outer space. I don't know what to tell you. It's just.
So did you ever say, listen, I'm lonely, and if you can do A, B, C, that would make me happy.
So you know what happened? So okay, next weekend we go on an excursion, and we may go out shopping, and we go out to dinner and spend some time together, and now she's done her duty. And we're right back. I mean, that's kind of how it works out.
Okay.
Nothing fundamental changes, put it that way.
Okay.
The fundamentals stay in place.
Okay. All right.
And there's nothing I can do to change the fundamentals from my perspective that are going to be constructive to our relationship. You understand what I mean? I can always deal with my loneliness if I decided I wanted to do that. That's an easy fix. But how is that going to affect or impact my relationship with my wife? It's not going to be in a positive way.
Okay. So, it won't be in a positive way. So, you're basically saying you don't have a lot of friends around you. And do you have any family members around you? Somebody you can probably spend some time with? Well,
my
maybe
family,
it's that. Mm-hmm.
My family lives in the general vicinity. I mean, when I say general vicinity, I mean, my brother's 2 hours away. My sister's an hour and a half away. My other sister's 4 hours away. Could I get and be in their presence and proximity in a reasonable amount of time? Yeah, but we don't have that kind of relationship where we need to be underfoot of each other all the time. We just don't do that. We've never been that way.
Okay.
We are very close. We stay in contact. We communicate on a regular basis, but we also understand that we have families.
And I think the point that you were sharing with me is the truth of the matter is you want to spend time with your wife.
That's correct.
Right.
Because
so
that's my
it doesn't really
family.
make a difference it doesn't make a difference who else you can be around. You
right.
crave and you have a desire to be with your wife.
Right.
And you want her to fill that void.
That's correct.
So what does it make you feel like, that there's really no effort being made? Do you think maybe she just doesn't understand how much you, I guess, miss her, what you all were?
I'm pretty sure that it's obvious that she doesn't understand. Because I've tried to do it and say it in as explicit a fashion as I possibly can on a number of different occasions, and it's part of it, I think, is that she doesn't understand how important this is for us, especially at a critical time like right now. And when I say critical time, because, the nuclear family has been myself and my two children over the course of the last 20-some-odd years. And now I have a grown child, and I have one that's going to be going to college very shortly. And what's left of the family unit that's going to be together on a regular basis every day is the two of us. If we don't have or find a way to become more connected, I don't see how that's going to work out in the long term. I really don't.
And why do you say you don't see how it's going to work out in the long term? Because I don't want to say haven't you gotten used to really not spending that much time with your wife, but you've not acclimated yourself to a degree where you kind of, realize, hey, this is my life. I'm not going to spend that much.
It's not going to be my life. See, that's what I've got acclimated to. That's where I am right now. I've come to the realization that that's not going to be my life.
So
I'm not going to have a life where I'm going to be by myself.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand. Okay.
No, that's not the life I'm going to live.
So you've made up your mind that's not the life you're going to live.
I've made up my mind that I'm not going to live a life where I'm alone all the time, but I still got responsibilities to others. If I'm going to be alone, then the only person I need to be responsible to and for is myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I say I don't see how that works out over the long term, not in terms of this relationship. Because, I've known too many people who, at the end of the day, there's two people that live in the same household. They don't talk. They don't even stay in the same bedroom. You would think that they were like roommates, only they don't stay in the same room. Some of them don't even want to be in each other's company. I'm not going out like that, as they say.
Well, you don't want to do the second half like that.
I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not going to do that. I mean, we're not like that now. And understand, we still have things that bring us together. And as I said, my wife has a lot of redeeming qualities and a lot of things about her I love and cherish. But if I can't get to experience them, then what's the point? If they're not a part of my life on a regular basis, then what's the point?
So what is a day like in the life of you and your wife? You get up in the morning, you say good morning, and what else?
She gets up in the morning and she gets ready for work. And right now I'm semi-retired. I'm kind of doing some freelance stuff on my own, but I do have a significant financial capacity being semi-retired. So it's not like I'm not bringing money into the household. That's consistent. And she gets up, she kisses me goodbye in the morning when she goes to work most mornings, and she's gone for the day. And I get up, I do some cleaning. Right now, indulging my son with the things that he needs to get himself situated with for his movement to the university. I make sure that I go out and do the grocery shopping because I like to have food fresh, so I go out grocery shopping for dinner for that day. I take care of my own errands and things like that. I also have the opportunity in many instances to go to various seminars and meetings that I have with potential clients. I come home, I make dinner, and she comes in, she has dinner, And she's on the phone.
Oh. I thought you were going to say you all sit down, talk about the day, and do
No.
a little.
No.
Okay.
We do that at dinner. We have a conversation at dinner. We try
Okay.
to eat as a family, and since there's the three of us here, we try to eat together most days, and we do have conversation, and then she's off in her
But I'm
world.
saying, what do you and your wife do? You two.
That's it. You just got it. You just heard it.
So you don't do anything?
Not usually. No, not together.
Okay,
I mean, on occasion we will get together. We will watch a movie together on occasion. But
out of a month, you look at the movie what, once or twice?
Maybe
10 times.
Maybe once or twice. If that would be a lot. And don't get me wrong, she has a busy schedule. She's a corporate person herself. She actually runs her own small business and under contract to an entity, and she works hard. And I appreciate the fact that she puts her time in and she does what I don't have any qualms with her doing what she needs to do to get her business off the ground and make her business work. I think it's a great thing for her because it's also a learning process about a lot of the things that I've been telling her for years about what it takes to run a business. So it's a great thing. But
so since you know that's and entrepreneurial things, I'm an entrepreneur, can be very demanding. Then how does she? Well, then she has to figure out how to squeeze you in. That's what you're trying to figure out. How can you become relevant in her world again?
I'm not on the agenda. That's what I'm telling you. At least I don't feel like I am. Everybody else is, but I'm not.
You are?
She thinks that she gives me a lot of attention. That's her belief. I truly believe she thinks that. But
well,
I don't
what kind of
it.
attention do you want? What could she do?
Some personal time, some personal space, some time together that's not dedicated to dealing with interruptions from people who really should not be an important factor in our lives at that moment in time. And that's constant.
So if you go out together and her phone rings and it's not an emergency, from some other than your children or maybe her parents, you feel maybe she shouldn't pick it up and just you all focus on you all. Because all the calls and stuff are distraction. Okay, what else could she do?
That's part of it. The other part is that, as I said, sometimes you got to set boundaries with other people.
Right.
I got a significant other in my life. I need to be more focused on him. You can't be up in my face and up in my grill 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can't be calling my house at 8 o'clock in the morning and again 8 o'clock at night. And 3 times in between. No, you can't go with us. We're going to, it's just me and him.
So there are times when you all have done things, you and your wife together, and a friend has come along?
Every time we get ready to do something, it's always about, well, who else is going to be a part of that? No, I don't want them to be a part of it. This is us. Even when it's been just me and the boys. I can tell you, there have been times where, and to give you a perfect example, Christmas. You ever have a holiday that's supposed to be more focused around family than Christmas? And all I asked was for a Christmas morning where I could wake up and it just be the 4 of us and we can enjoy each other at each other's company. That was a fight to be able to have that.
Oh, okay.
Because everybody else want to be here too, and I'm okay with on occasion putting up others to have a big family gathering and we all do this together but that ain't the way you do it all the time. Sometimes it just has to be us, the nucleus, the family, the foundation. Yeah. That was a fight. That's what I'm talking about. My space.
And here's the question: you said that was a fight. How do you fight? Do you sit down and you all speak rationally to one another? You raising voices?
We tried that. That didn't work. So basically, I said, this is the way it's going to be. Otherwise, I'd never have it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm talking about. Where sometimes you just have to be willing to hurt each other's, somebody else's feelings, and you got to go for what it is you want. Because being passive all the time will never get you what you want.
Okay. So I'm just trying to think like how do you two come to the place where you used to be?
Well, that's the $1 million question.
Or maybe you have to sometimes we can't get back what we used to have, and then sometimes we have to elevate to what can we be now. And
yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're right. I'm not saying sometimes history is history. It's always about what you're going to do in the future. But what I'm not going to do in the future is spend that time alone. That's what I'm not going to do.
So you're adamant about that?
I'm adamant about that, absolutely.
So you've thought everything through?
As far as that's concerned, yeah. I see too many people who are miserable because that's what they've chosen to do. I'm not going to be miserable in my life. My life has to have meaning.
You've seen couples who are together and unhappy.
Well, they're not even together. They just happen to reside in the same space, but they're not together.
But they're just married on paper.
Well, they're married on paper.
They're married, late, and lonely.
and they exist in the same space, right? But they're not together. See, and I just don't see that as being in my future. I just don't.
Have you said that to your wife?
Yes.
The way you've said it to me?
We've kind of had just recently a kind of a preliminary discussion on where this is going. I think she's starting to recognize and realize that something has to change, but I'm not sure if she understands the depth that it has to change for me. Because it's not going to be, just a token. Okay, on Friday nights, we will go to dinner and a show, and that'll be sufficient to maintain. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that's integral to our existence together. And if it's not going to be that, I don't see where it goes. I really don't see where it goes.
You think you need to go to counseling again?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how what counseling has done for us in the past, because it for me, and I could be wrong, and I don't want to necessarily portray her as being someone who's not focused on the same things I'm focused on, but my perception is that she has very specific goals when it comes to the instances where we've gone to counseling, and in no uncertain terms, I don't think those goals are ever achieved, because it always comes back to what our relationship is rather than those goals. And when you go to counseling, a counseling session, my impression is not to solve your problems, but to get you to air your problems.
Okay.
You solve the problems by understanding that they exist.
Right.
And then you work on building the structure to relieve those issues when you leave counseling.
Okay.
But if you go to counseling with the expectation that they're going to solve your problems, you're in counseling for the wrong reasons. They don't.
Well, it does take a lot of work. You can talk all day long, but if changes are not made, that doesn't mean anything. And
exactly.
It takes two to tango, and somebody usually got to give up a little bit more than they may want to. But I think sometimes people have to, and I'm not talking about your wife, I'm talking about anybody, and if you love someone and you want it to work, you got to do what it takes. I used to, back in the day, I used to date someone, and I had girlfriends who really would never have a man in their life. And I found myself, even when I was married and had, a particular boyfriend, when the holidays would come or special days, I would always make time for my girlfriends, because I used to feel so bad because they had no one. And I felt like, let them come over because they have someone. But as I've gotten older, and this has been for a number of years, I don't do that. Because the truth of the matter is, first of all, they wouldn't do it. If they had somebody, they wouldn't do that for me. But more importantly, when you're in a relationship with men, one thing I found for myself and individuals that I've dealt with, you really got to give them the time that they deserve, because that's what you have a relationship for. You want to spend time together. You want to spend quality time together, girlfriends. You got to hook up with me later. And later is not the same day. Later might be next week, because you've got to give people, the man in your life, the time that he needs.
And on the flip side of that,
like that.
Yeah, but on the flip side of that, the man in your life is not going to resent the time you spend with them if you give him the time that's due him.
Right. That's absolutely
That's
true.
that's the balance. That's the balance that doesn't exist here. And
so, in other words,
that's,
you're saying, and because we got to go and we'll pick back up, you don't mind the fact that your wife spends time with family and friends. You just want her to make you a priority. You're not trying to get her to say to get your friends and family. But what you're trying to say is, listen, remember me. I make you number one. I want you to make me number one. That's what you're
exactly
basically
my
saying.
point. That's exactly.
And you want her to be number one. Well, she's number one. First of all, she's number one in your heart. You love her. And
That's
you don't
true.
want your marriage to fall apart. You want your marriage you want to stay married to us for death do you part. I'm assuming.
No, kind of.
Oh, well, that's another show. I want to thank everybody for listening to Open Heart with Lisa. Thank you so much, Jerome. I know you love your wife, and I know you saying stuff because he can be a little sarcastic, but I know he's told me he loves his wife. I want to thank all of you all for listening to Open Heart with Lisa. You can check me out on Facebook, Open Heart with Lisa, YouTube, Open Heart with Lisa, and log into my blog, www.openheartwithlisa.com. Once again, thank you for listening to Open Heart with Lisa, where his heart matters. God bless you.